Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. So, welcome back to Coast, and as I had anticipated, sadly, I've had a long hiatus from the game, literally a full month from the time the update of 1.4.4 was released until the key maps that I felt I would like to have got released. So I have been waiting for Mexico, and I was almost at the point that I was thinking, maybe I'm just going to drop it because it's not like I have to go down to Mexico. But that got released in the last couple days, actually. And so let me, before we start and jump back in and try to run a load, go ahead and let you know how the maps have changed, because to some degree there's some significant issues. So first let me talk about what maps I have removed because they don't have updates or they have other issues. So Vermont is removed, which was in there before, which really just gave us a couple cities. It was really no big deal. I'm certainly not going to wait for that. And Canada Dream is now not going to continue, and I'll explain why in a minute. Ones that have been added back in because they now don't have the same conflict. So Montana, if you remember, did create an issue where we were creating this weird loop, and then when I tried to go that one time, that's when I fell off the planet. That may work now with Canada Dream, but that's not why it was removed. But Montana expansion is now here. And so you can kind of see the sequence I have things. This is off the SCS forums load order that someone maintains. So all of these do function. I've tested that things go in. I can go into the map. It doesn't explode, so forth and so on. So several continued without enhancements. It doesn't mean they won't be enhanced. Discover Ontario is continued. I didn't do anything with. And actually, now that I look at this, everything else has been updated for 1.44. So Coast to Coast was updated. Again, we were waiting for Reforma, which are these three here, which are the Mexico map. The Caribbean was also updated. And when we go look at the actual world map, I'll show you some things there because there's actually additional locations there, which is cool. And then Midwest Expansion was just updated today with a new version that includes some enhanced areas in Illinois along a route, and then around, I think, Detroit, Toledo, and Port Huron. And this is the reason that we are no longer using Canada Dream, because what they said, because the enhanced areas they worked on bordered Canada, and they were so far north, they basically had to make a decision of were they going to support integration with Canada Dream or with Discover Ontario, and they decided to drop support for working with Canada Dream. And again, given the fact that Canada Dream was not that impactful, I said, all right, that'll drive my change. So let's go into the game. So here we are in the map. First things, if we go here, for example, into areas like you can see Toledo basically, even though I've driven through here multiple ways, like now it's grayed out and undiscovered. I'm sure that's because of the enhancements they made. And again, here I don't actually know where Port Huron is, but we've still got Discover Ontario up here. I was waiting for a while for the Mid-Atlantic piece. It's available, so it is present. But again, we used to be able to go up to Nova Scotia. We have gone through here before, but because we're not connected, perhaps, that area is showing up as undiscovered. Not quite sure. Down here in the Caribbean, everything's kind of similar, but the piece that I understand they added is this tip of I think Colombia or something. I think they said Venezuela, but clearly this is not Venezuela, so because Venezuela's further south, unless I'm totally messed up with my geography. But Mexico is present, so Reforma is there. Again, we've got areas that are somewhat detached, maybe because they've redone areas of road. You know, there have been enhancements there. You know, I'm just hoping we don't have problems when we cross, because again here, like Nogales, looks like we have it, but then we did go up through this space, and that's all removed at this point. And then again, Montana is gotten added in, which I think, you know, I may have tried in the first couple episodes, and it may have been present. We obviously never got there. But I'm expecting that should work. But up here, Canada Dream is gone. And if you remember, it was really just like a couple east-west areas, and then there were a few ways to go north-south. So I just didn't view it as a large loss to lose that. And since the goal of the series was always coast to coast, like, you know, it was American-based anyway, since it's American Truck Simulator and not Canada Truck Simulator or Mexico Truck Simulator. That's where I was starting to get to the point when I was waiting, because Coast to Coast updated pretty quickly. Midwest Expansion has actually had a couple updates since 1.44, but the one now, which I think is 1.69 of their version, is the one that said, well, because of the redos that we've done in certain areas here, like, we're just no longer going to support merging with Canada Dream. So that was not a hard one to remove. If I had to remove Mexico, it wouldn't have been the end of the world either. The challenge now we have too is, obviously, anytime we have a major update like that, if you recall the last episode, we were up here in Ontario. My truck is down back at my garage in Tulsa because basically we got reset so that there weren't any challenges. So we're going to start today in Tulsa. So I'm going to go look for a job. Alright, so taking a quick peek in here, the job I'm going to go with here is this one, the backhoe loader up to Duluth. Simply because it gets me way up here. Never been there. At this point, it's going to be kind of a northern terminus of the map, but unless I go specifically there, I'm never really going to get there. It's a reasonable distance, just 774 miles, and it's still on the first screen of jobs. So I can certainly make significantly more per mile by doing some of these, but we've done enough of those in a little while, for a little while. And, you know, while this one to Cookeville is a little shorter, and New Orleans, they're not significantly shorter, and then these others in between are significant length that I'm just not doing at this point. So this is the job we're going to go with. Alright, so it looks like we are having a bit of rain here. So I've got to remember how to get my wipers going. There we go. Haven't had to use those on the truck quite some time. So I think we're pretty close to needing to rest too. So we may need to do that before we head out of town here. It isn't a rush job in any way. So I've got to go to Kiewit, I think, is where we're picking this up. So I believe we're going to have to go to the left. It's pretty foggy today. Wow. So let me turn right, huh?
Turn right.
Oh, I see. Okay. So this is the location. Not bad. So we'll stop, get our job. There it is. Take it. And it looks like it's back in this direction. So get myself connected up there. I was going to say, it looks like the curbs drop down. So there's a couple of the other jobs that are going longer, including that gigantic milling machine that we would have been taking. Okay, so we're all set. At this point, yeah, we've got to rest in 3.5 hours. So I'm guessing it's going to take us
Turn left.
over this way, which it is. Just hope I don't hit that car. I'm going to turn right here. I was not planning on it, but just gets me another road discovery. I can actually probably go forward and get that other area. They have a stop sign, so I should be good. So I think it's just going to take us onto the interstate. So we have plenty of gas. We have over 1,200 miles of gas, so we don't need any fuel. And at this point, tells us it's less than 14 hours of driving, but we have almost 45 hours till we have to deliver. So they're expecting us there no later than just after lunchtime on Wednesday. Oh, this is not good. Let me reset my trip meter. But yeah, 774 miles. We haven't obviously left the yard very far. So we should be going to the right here. But we'll see what she tells us. Maybe I'm not going where I think I'm going. Oh, I'm not. Alright. Well then, the question really does become, do I want to rest then? I really don't want to turn around, but I'm not seeing anything. I don't know that I have a choice. Ah, disappointing. Alright, so I'm going to go to the left to this Kenworth dealer, and I think we'll rest there. Because it looks like we're basically traveling up on roads that are just kind of back roads. It's not taking us via the interstate.
Go straight on.
And so we know how Midwest expansion is with rest stops. Not very prevalent, so if I don't take advantage here, I'm not going to find anything in 3 hours according to what I just saw on the map. So there we go. I think we're done. No. That's high speed. That should be off. So this trip will get our truck over 10,000 miles. Just barely. Not by anything substantial, but still enough. It's a short enough trailer. I think I'll just leave myself connected when I pull into the Kenworth dealer there to rest. I think we should be okay. It's quite nice and sunny.
Never mind. I'll find a new route.
Yes, you do that.
Turn left.
I don't mean to make this difficult. I really don't. But
Finding a new route.
the map I'm on makes it difficult. So,
Turn left.
alright, so I have to go to the parking. I'm watching behind me there so that I'm not surprised. And then, again, we should be able to just rest. In this area, I hope. There we go. Alright. So this is going to get us to be starting out pretty early. Alright, so we have Ahmed, 11,000. Vokte, my favorite. 7,500. It's like coming back to old friends. Oh, he's leveled up. Now, I'm pretty sure, if I recall, there's Yaroslav, 3,000. We had a lot of folks. Thomas couldn't find a job. I don't know what's with you guys. So, what did he cost us? Almost 1,000. That's not great. And then Branko. Alright, I just want to make sure because I couldn't really tell. Alright, so now this should
Get ready to turn left.
turn left. Alright.
Turn left.
So I was a little confused because there's actually a truck outside my window here that was backing up, so I was confused. I thought it was a sound from the game, but it's not. Oops. So I apologize if I make a few crazy things because I haven't, haven't played in so long. I'm a little rusty. So, for those who may also be following the Euro Truck series, I am still in a holding pattern there. It's the only map I use is Pro Mods, and that is still awaiting update. So, again, I got a few more weeks before it suddenly potentially starts making episodes late. You know, I was in great shape for American Truck Simulator. If I needed to wait a little longer, I certainly could have, but I didn't. You know, there really wasn't the need to do that because I really was at the point like, okay, the maps that are left, I'm not quite sure I really want to deal with. Well, this is a busier road than I thought it was going to be, so I do appreciate that. Because then this might actually not be as long and arduous as I thought, but turn right? Well, maybe it is more arduous than I thought, because it's just for this segment. Nah, I definitely need to stop before I turn. So let me do that. And then swing a little wider, because we can, nobody's there. That kind of gets us where we want. Speed limit's still the same, but once again, as we've seen in other things, that may not actually mean I can take turns at speed, so I'll have to be aware. Oh, Marek, couldn't find a job. So there is a possible danger now. Like, obviously, I've got that garage up in Ontario. There is a possibility that they're going to have more challenges now with Canada Dream not being present. So, we'll see how that all plays out. But because eventually, if they continue to do this for a while, I may have to rethink, you know, where I have them and maybe relocate them to a new location. Right now I can't afford to buy a new location because I don't think I can sell
And then continue straight on.
while it's staffed, so welcome to Nowata. 3,731. Not very big, but I'm sure there's a lot of these not very big places here. So we're finally on the way, 40 miles out. Took us about an hour in game time. You can see 57 minutes down there on our trip meter. So definitely a slow start, but kind of the normal thing once you're getting out of a city and so forth. You know, the challenge here is, unlike the interstate, like, we're going to have stuff like this, or we're going to have intersections, and we're going to keep getting stopped at lights. So I may regret what I thought was not too bad of a run, but this may not quite be as entertaining as I hoped. For me, for you, for everyone. But we're getting close to sunrise, so that is a good thing. And now we're also only 40 here. So that's not a good thing, but we'll see how this all goes. Because like I said, it's still telling us 12 hours. In theory, we're about 5 minutes past our rest break when we get there, which is going to make things interesting, because if there isn't somewhere to rest right nearby, it's not going to be great. But I'm sure there's got to be something in town there in Duluth, but who knows? Coffeeville. Not quite sure where that's at. But I'm sure it means another traffic light at a minimum. But I can tell you, I'm happy to be back in the truck again. I was getting a little bit, well, more than a little bit. I was getting way too much Farming Simulator for my taste, and was definitely having the hankering of getting into something else. And it was just really disappointing and frustrating that I couldn't do that. Alright, so Yaroslav made some money. That's good. And they've leveled up.
Go straight on.
So I'll leave it alone. I'm tempted to check the drivers as we go here, but it's not, nobody's going to level up 2 things in a row, and if they are, they're low enough that they should be. So, because again, if you recall, if I remember correctly, I think I was having the Canada folks that were stationed up there get 1 more distance point. But I think the challenge is, because the way the contractors work, that they go out and then they come back home, and that's kind of how they look for jobs. It's possible that there just isn't enough traffic up there to Ontario, that they're almost always going to be coming back empty. That's the only thing I can think of. Alright, well, we're up to 55, but we're slowing down, so he's probably turning. That probably means we're going to get stuck here.
Go straight on.
Why did he slow down? He's not... Oh, the other guy's turning, but he isn't. So, that's just really irritating. I see a car coming. I saw headlights. Come on, pass, because I really want to have my momentum. There's another truck up there, but he didn't turn either. Oh, this could be bad. Oh, this could be really bad. There's multiple trucks. Whoa. But if I can get past these guys, that would be very helpful. That's not going to work because this is a red light. So, let's see. He probably won't let me in. He might. There we go. Not the way I really want to do it, but I got to get a little creative on this route or it's going to get ugly. So, not sure where Mr. Home Depot's headed to. But he's obviously not turning. He's got some heavier loads than I do, so let's see. Hopefully we can get by him without a problem here. There we go. Alright, so now we've got some open road. Hopefully it stays that way, because we've not even gone 100 miles yet. But definitely lots and lots of traffic. Because, yeah, this should only be 36 more minutes, so, I mean, it will meet our desire to be under an hour for our runs and therefore our episodes. So that'll be good. We're certainly getting road network that we've never explored before. That's good too. So I would have expected the sun to kind of be up by now. Didn't recall that it... Oh, that sign's like in the roadway. Yeah, somebody did make a comment about one of these maps somewhere by Yuma, Arizona. So it might have been Reforma. That there's like trees in the road, and they said you can't drive through them with a sad face. So my guess is they saw them, thought they can't possibly be in the road, and then just slammed into them. So I think there's some little issue with what Reforma did there with some kind of a link or whatever. So hopefully, if I ever get down there, by then they'll have resolved it. But on the version I have, they have not. I was getting ready to speed up again, but I guess I shouldn't, because we're now entering a town. Idla? I think it was IDLA, but maybe it was like IOLA. I don't know. We have not discovered anything, so I'm not going to find out that way. Hills Brothers, Mayflower, all kinds of stuff. And he was slowing down. I thought maybe their light had finally changed, but no, he is stopping. So hopefully that means we get a green light soon. He's gonna go. Just if you're gonna go, go. All right. So looks like just a couple intersections here, and then we're out of town. And the good news is it doesn't look like we have another light, so that might be it. So that's certainly doable. What's our next town? Garnett, Ottawa, and then Lawrence. Lawrence, I believe, is in Kansas. So, looks like some corn on one side, some wheat on the right side. I do like what they've done with this area. So this is better than what I've come to expect with Midwest expansion. The only thing it's missing is, again, some rest stops. Because, yeah, at this point, we're 3 hours and 15 minutes. I would be about 20 minutes from running out of time in my rest window and my hours of service, and obviously that would not be a good thing. So I saw it was giving me like a traffic light warning, but obviously we're not seeing one, so there it is. And it is red out here in the middle of the corn. There we go. We're at Garnett. 3,400. All these little towns out here. Except this little town has another light up there. I see it's green. It's probably not going to stay green in the time it's going to take us to get there, but one can hope, right? Please, please.
Go straight on.
I think we're good. All right. And then I would think we're out of town. Now again, I'm in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, so I need to be careful. But yeah, at least they've put, houses up along the road here. So, Ottawa. So now we can speed up again, but 20 miles, not that far. So this is kind of what this trip will be, which is exactly what rural trucking is all about. You're just going down 2-lane roads, lots of farms, lots of homes right on them, and lots of little towns. So Yeah, so it's kind of close. There's a stop there with a rest stop. We might have gotten there before the penalty window,
Then turn right.
but it's certainly not something you'd normally want to be dealing with. And then, worrying about whether you're going to get an hours of service penalty. So, good news is I was unexpecting this. I thought we were really honestly heading up that way, not on an interstate, but at least for a time, we're obviously getting on the interstate. So that is a blessing for sure. If for no other reason, then we won't have traffic lights. Ooh, that 75-mile-an-hour sign floating up there to catch your eye. Pretty clever, these people in Kansas. We're just going to make our signs levitate, and then everyone will look at them. Alright, Kansas City. Here we come. There's a song like that. In case you're unfamiliar with it. It's Kansas City, here I come. But I-35, which does take us up to Minneapolis, it goes through there, so maybe we'll stay on this, though. At least that far. We'll probably have to get off the interstate to get to Duluth, but if I can run that segment, which is probably going to be at least 400 or 500 miles, that would be good. And we are now at... actually, it slowed down a bit. It was at 70.
Keep right, and then exit right.
Do we really? Or is it a bad direction? No, I guess it is. I guess 35 doesn't actually run all the way from here. Alright. Guess we'll do what it says.
Right.
So there are a few other little map enhancement maps. There's an urbanization map that I guess does a bunch of things to cities out in California, widens the expressways and stuff like that to make it more what we'd be used to in that space. Oh, okay. We're not exiting here.
Go straight on.
Because I knew we had to exit at some point. Oh, I'm going way too fast. Because it's only 60. I think this is our interchange here. There we are in Missouri.
Keep left.
We will keep left, but then we're going to go right.
Keep right, and then exit right.
But yeah, so there's little things here and there. Stuff up like in Bellingham, Washington. There's like a Bellingham map. There's the urbanization. There's a few others. So now that I've dropped Can of Dream, it's kind of like, well, maybe I can try to really flesh out some of the other stuff and see if it enhances things or not. Problem is I don't know the map. A lot of times the map's well enough that I would even know if something was changed, like driving through California.
Go straight on.
I mean, I know they don't do 4 wide interstates in the base game, so there are some places that they went 2x4 instead of 2x3. So those would be obvious, but others not so much. Alright, well now this tells me 35 north again.
And then continue straight on.
So I guess
Go straight on.
35 north Des Moines. Okay. So I guess we did stay on 35 north. It just moved over or something and kind of ran with another interstate for a little while. So sometimes they'll do that in the network because obviously you're not going to build these incredibly expensive roadways right next to each other. So if there is one nearby, they'll travel together for a time and then break off eventually. And we are traveling north according to my compass, so it's not as if we're just cutting over again. But doing pretty well. I guess if nothing else, just because I had to start and stop, I mean, it took away a little bit of the monotony that we're kind of used to, that we're now back in on the interstate through Midwest expansion and coast to coast, more coast to coast than Midwest expansion, but we are back on 35. So it's telling us we would get there by 4:45 p.m. today. And at this point, we've got about a 10-hour cushion in the right direction, where I should be there about 10 minutes before I would be needing to rest. And so I'm assuming, whoa, there's a sign in the middle of the road there. There's a few, oh boy.
Go straight on.
Well, that's not good. I'm not real happy with that. So I took 7% damage, and I can't see a thing. So this is probably going to get even worse. Come on, fall off. There we go. Alright. Yeah, I was looking in the other lane. I didn't see that one here. So I'm sure that's similar to what happened to the guy with the trees. Not cool, not cool. We don't really need obstacle courses in the roadway. So, luckily it didn't do more damage than that. I'm hoping, yeah, nothing to the load. I wouldn't have expected there to be, but just checking. But yeah, now I'm going to have to incur some repairs because they put a sign in the middle of the roadway. Oh boy. I was just hoping somehow, and I knew it like just before I made contact. I'm like, this is not going to just be a, oh yeah, just drive through it. I'm going to slam into this thing, and slam I sure did. So, just not quite sure how, because I don't think the signs get placed randomly. But I'm wondering if it would have been the same problem with that piece of sign sticking out from the ground. If that would have done some damage to the wheels, or what would have happened had I been in the right lane with that. The difference, I suppose, is, you know, at least there I've got the shoulder. I really couldn't, you know, if I dove over to the median here, we've got all these light posts and stuff. That would have been a much worse collision. So at least the sign broke away, like signs should when you hit them, but wow, that wakes you up. More infuriates you than wakes you up, I guess. But so now we're heading out here, and it's just one of those, like, yeah, you're not expecting a sign in the middle of the road, so even when you see a sign, you're like, oh, the roadway will turn, it'll do whatever. And by the time I really realized I was barreling down on it was pretty much the moment I started saying something about it, and I was way, way too close to do much of anything. I mean, even as I was wiggling to get that sign off, I knew I had just passed people. I'm like, well, I don't want to collide with someone in the right lane now either. But it's possible, wiggling around like I was, that it kind of pushed everybody back. So, definitely interesting. So, not going to be able to get this done in just this one session, I am unfortunately coming up on a hard stop. My intent was I really wanted to get in, tell you guys about the map, and then at least pick a job, but I went through all that fast enough that, you know, I knew I had 20 minutes or so, which I can get a good ways down the road in that time. So I'm going to move over to the right lane here, where I should be. So I don't know that I'll remember that we had that on 35. Heading through Kansas, I think. But yeah, I think with adding everything back in, and once again, I don't think there was an episode in between, but when I had some maps out, because like Reforma wasn't compatible, so I had removed that. You know, I think I was at 15 or 16% discovered roads, and now we're back into like 13.3, almost 13.4, because I think it was 13.39, so I'm assuming we've gone up a few tenths in the roads we've discovered. Now we're on roadway that is not new to us. So we'll have stopped accumulating anything there. But, you know, definitely enjoying the fact that I, at least for the most part, have something workable. I simply say for the most part, because obviously signs in the middle of the road are not cool. So have to see, maybe I can take a screenshot out of my video and send it to the map author, and maybe at least in some future iteration, you know, maybe I'll take a few where I'll be like, yeah, here's the sign and here's the damage it did to me as I ran into it. So that might increase things. There's like a tree wall up in the air there. So there's definitely a few anomalies here and there. Alright, getting into Des Moines, Iowa. And there's Minneapolis and, Duluth. So maybe this does go to Duluth. That would be good. It doesn't slow down here, which is also good, but we've got enough traffic that I don't have a choice. And it looks like once we get north of the city, we either have a gap or we just haven't gone this way, because it's possible we just discovered this interchange coming in. So I'll continue a little bit, but then I'm going to pause here. So we're going to go from a point of, well, we might go from a point of traffic to no traffic, but we'll see. Looks like we're down to 65 in this state.
Keep left. Keep left.
All right, so we've discovered Ames. Just make sure. I figured we'd go there. So Ames, Iowa is where the University of Iowa is, if you were unaware of that. So it's important from that regard. Whoa! Sorry, I was playing with my sim dashboard. That's why you don't do that. Luckily, it turned into nothing more than a bit of a roller coaster. Goodness gracious. I had restarted here and realized I was moving again before I did the dashboard thing, but luckily it didn't turn into anything too crazy. other than really, really poor driving. And I'm sure if there were people behind us, they had a mini heart attack wondering what was going to happen. But all right, well, I guess something's going on. I see a truck up there, so does that mean we can go? I don't know. I guess we'll see where it sends us. We don't have much extra time here, so this is going to make things a bit interesting. So let's see, what's it gonna do? That does not seem the best way. There's got to be some kind of entrances or something. I'm half tempted to just do what people normally do, which is use an area that the emergency people would, like if there's a thing in there to do a U-turn, and then they do that. So let me see if that'll work. Because there should be some exits, but obviously when there aren't, all the way till whatever, that makes it more difficult, but that's not reasonable. I mean, there'd be exits I could turn around, and because obviously I saw cars going, so that means it's open that way.
Keep right, and then exit right.
Unless it proves me wrong and I end up ending up stuck somewhere like I did the one time. I had an episode that I did something similar and then they messed me up because there was like a giant plane or something across the highway later, and then I couldn't continue. But hopefully that's not the case here. Because yeah, the way that was taking me, that would have been significant. If it was just going to go over and be a little bit of a detour, that's one thing, but that's probably, I didn't look at my sim dashboard. It probably would have let me know, but I wouldn't be surprised if that added 100 miles. Because once again, I'm pretty sure the emergency services would have come up with something if the road network was really the way this is. They would have basically guided us up, because if it was a normal interchange too, we could have just gone around, pulled over, pulled right back on. It's just because of the way it was with it being a divided highway. That was a little more challenging. Now again, I don't know that I like the fact that we're not seeing any vehicles. Alright, there's some coming the other way. But I mean, I'm surprised we had others ahead of us looking under the bridge, but now there's like nothing coming up behind me. There's nothing coming up in front of me either. Alright, well, if nothing else, at least if I get past this, if something then shows up, I can always come back to this exit, I guess. But we'll see.
Go straight on.
See what happens. That looks very poorly designed as well. It's just floating in the sky. Alright. So hopefully no more surprises on the map of maps. So, yeah, definitely coming up on Minneapolis somewhere. We've got those super fast moving clouds that happen sometimes as well. Does this get us to Minnesota? Yep. Alright, so we are in the state we are ending in, because Duluth is at the tip there, if you're not familiar with Minnesota geography. It's at the end of Lake Superior, which is one of the 5 Great Lakes. And I assume it thinks it's superior, since that's the name it's been given. I'm assuming we're not going to discover Albert Lee. We might, but yeah, this is interesting that we have no traffic at all. It's like once it's blocked with a massive detour like that, like nothing continues. But if nothing else, you'd think there'd be people getting on. 'Cause that's my concern. There's a truck finally. Alright. Because that's my concern, is at one point, like when that happened, I was driving for several minutes, so I probably got 50 or 100 miles down the road, and then suddenly, there was a plane across the whole thing. And I think in that case there were guardrails, so like there was no way to get around it. And we're here. I guess we could try, but hopefully we won't have to. Hopefully it's been handled. We're coming up on about 10 minutes till we should be done. So if you're wondering, because I know this is a little bit longer than the route, obviously, because I was explaining the map changes in the beginning. But we have just like a backhoe or something. I don't remember what it exactly was. A loader, some sort of I guess it's a backhoe loader. But yeah, it's not terribly heavy. It's only 16,500 pounds. So the one benefit of doing this all in the Midwest section is there's not really any way stations, so we're not dealing with any of that. I was going to say we're at 9,985. I guess I could change that so you can see when we hit 8,000. There's a sign flying up above us again, so Route 35 in general is just not great. And that about shortly after that happened before is when we had signs on the road, so I guess I'll pay attention and try to ignore them, avoid them this time. Probably have to slow way down and go slowly to not do something crazy. Alright, luckily it's just trucks. There's some cars coming behind us finally, so we're kind of getting into the normal kind of traffic stuff again. Alright, well, we crossed 10,000 while that whole conversation was going on. So if you were looking for it, hopefully you saw it. Now I'll go back to our
Go straight on.
trip meter. There's light poles up there. It's just not a comforting feeling with things all kind of goofy like that. There's another sign up there. So it's like everything's on the wrong plane, the wrong level.
Go straight on.
Hopefully the road just stays the road and I don't have anything where I fall into oblivion. That would really stink. Alright, and then at this point it looks like we're just in... Whoa! That was ridiculous. Looks like a half a lane. It's almost like an unplanned obstacle course, the way this map is here. I-35, not well done. So we get through Minneapolis, and then it's just telling us to go to Duluth, which is where we're headed.
Get ready to exit right.
I think that's wrong. Yep, it is. So we will ignore it, and we will go to Duluth.
Exit right.
Oh, I didn't realize it slowed down through the city. It's probably going to speed up right now, so I'll just leave it at this point, and then if it doesn't for a while, I'll change it. But I think once we get past the bypass and kind of out of the outskirts, it'll go back to 65 again. There we go, even better. It'll go to 70. Alright, so we're down to 7 minutes, about 134 miles. So obviously a little bit longer because we had the detour and all the other stuff. We're theoretically 18 minutes or so ahead. So it's going to be tight. We're going to have to definitely rest very quickly after we get there. You're going to start hearing yawning in about 3:30, 3:45. So don't be surprised. It's coming. I'm getting tired, right? But we should be below 100 miles to go when that happens. So that's 70 miles an hour. Not a problem to make 100 miles in 2 hours, but obviously there's going to be some city driving when we get there, I'm sure, too. So okay, I can move back to the right. So yeah, nobody else has gotten a trip done either. I will check my drivers. There's our yawn. A little before, it was 2 hours and 5 minutes. Giving us a pre-warning, I guess. Yeah, I'm surprised we're really not catching the traffic ahead of us, but it's not terrible that we're not, but yeah, we've averaged 60 miles per hour on this trip. That's pretty good, actually, given how we started. I guess we're going uphill a bit. It's slowing us down. Even though I've not changed anything. But, yeah, this is the land of 10,000 lakes. That's Minnesota. So you would think we'd see one or two of them, but obviously they decided not to do that on the map. Still a little over an hour and a half till it's going to tell me I've ended my hours of service, and then again there's a grace period after that. So I have no danger or no concern about getting there and delivering. It's just, am I going to be nearby enough to be able to rest before I pick up another job? I always love the AI. Cut in front of you, put on my brakes, so that now you can catch me and have to pass me again. Just foolish. Because then it will speed up and want to pass me again. Alright, well, our little bed indicator at the top is now red. I guess we're going downhill because I keep hearing the retarder turning on. An hour and 15 minutes, but less than an hour to get there according to Sim Dashboard. So we should be seeing some Duluth signs soon. Slow down because we're going to get to 65 here, it says. Oh, and then 55. So I guess we're getting to the end of the road, which would make sense. So are we exiting? Nope, we're continuing. So no directions from the GPS, but move over in case he's getting off, because then he'll tend to slow down, but obviously we're going faster than him anyway, so. So shortly we should be seeing where we can go, but we're basically, as you saw on the map, kind of coming up the side of Duluth, so you can see it over there on the right, just vanishing off the mini-map. And there's our delivery point, which is why it took us this way. And then we do have a rest area, so even as we just pull out, we could always just exit, go stop at the rest area. But we'll actually be going right by it, so that's even better. So, alright. Plus there's some things in town, so we can probably get a recruitment agency. We might be able to get a dealership. Alright. Just want to be careful. I think I've got enough. No, I bent that sign a bit. I was trying to avoid it, but didn't know how I could do it easily. Somehow I'm not sure that Duluth is all walled like this, but they're claiming it is. So yeah, before I pick anything up on the way out, although it looks like the cat dealer may be it. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I get it's a pretty small town, but yeah, it looks like we might have...
Turn left.
Well, I don't know. We have 2 points. I'm assuming one of them is a dealer and one is not, so I'm guessing that harvester is something they can get hauled out of here and such. So, whoops, sorry. I didn't mean to go all over like a crazy man. But we're right there, squeezed in by the building. So I tend to try to get in the corner here when I do that. Because, yeah, it's a lot. So these tight yards and these, at least the front of our truck doesn't look too bad after that ridiculous sign in the center of the road. But that's the other thing we're going to need to do, so it might not hurt to go exploring and find the truck dealer anyway. Because, yeah, I'm assuming that other piece we see is a garage that we can own here. But if we don't own that, we're not able to rest there, as we know, so. Alright, I'm probably going to need to straighten myself out a bit. So let's do that, but at this point, I would think this should be pretty straightforward. But who knows? It's not always what it seems. Because, yeah, I'm definitely ending up more over than I had planned, but this'll get us where we need to be. There we go. Beautiful. All right, let's see what we've got. All right, 44372. Still stay in there. But let's take a look at our drivers. That was the one thing we were going to do. Alright, so he's long distance. I guess I need to see. So he's up. Yeah. Well, he's from Burlington. I guess what I need to see is the garage manager and see who's up in Brampton. So that is Jana, Thomas, and Marek. Alright. So, Vodke. Oh, it tells me there. Crazy me. Alright. So, I think I'm gonna go. Alright, so I'm long distance. Alright, for everyone, once they get to 3 is what I've been doing. So, he's balanced. They're balanced. And I think what we were thinking about is Thomas. So I'm going to do long distance on these guys out of Brampton, because I think they're going to need that to try to avoid coming back empty, hopefully. Maybe not. Maybe then they'll just be coming back empty and it'll be more costly. But Jana's doing pretty well, 4,000 a day. Alright, so Brandon is balanced. But yeah, Vodke out of St. Louis needs to become balanced. And that'll do it. But we're at 173. We don't have any garages that are open, so we need a garage and a truck. So, I need more money to do anything. But I will see you next time.